Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to a long-awaited episode of the Stevenage Football Club podcast, hosted by myself and Boro fan Matt Farley, along with guests of the podcast discussing everything Boro, League Two, I guess, every week of the season. Now, it has been a very long time, so massive apologies to the listeners. It's been about 3 months since we recorded the last podcast. Now, obviously, we kind of know Boro's fate recently with some huge news that came out the other day. But before we discuss the pandemic, Boro's fate next season, I have got a very, very close friend and huge Boro fan. He's been there with me every step of the way this season and other seasons. A massive welcome back to SG1 superstar panellist, Reece Donnelly. Buddy, how are you?
Oh, I wish I could answer that, Matt. I'm all right, I think. I've accepted things, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the way it rolls. We kind of expected it on some level, so I'm all right.
Good, mate. Well, it's been a long time. We haven't actually seen each other in 3 months, mate, have we?
It's been heartbreaking, to be honest with you. It's been absolutely heartbreaking not to see your lovely ginger hair or moan about the football to you.
I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it, that we haven't been able to get ourselves in the Lamix and go. Well, what have you been doing in these hard times to stay busy?
Oh, not an awful lot, if I'm honest.
No, not.
Yeah, I've just been surviving like everyone else, really. Just eagerly awaiting for football to return, and obviously we've had lots of drama with the football, so I've tried to keep on top of that, and it's in a weird way I've kind of enjoyed the break, but in another I'd just love to be back at the Lamix sometime soon.
Yeah, do you know what? I've actually really missed it. I've really missed going to see Boro play. When it all first happened, I didn't mind it because obviously we were on an awful losing streak, weren't we? And it was like, oh, maybe the break would do us good. I mean, I didn't know that the pandemic would reach the limits it had. So we didn't know the outcome of what would happen to our season. But when it, kept going on and on and on, I really do miss getting myself down the Lamix and going to see Stevenage play. It's the main hobby in life for us, isn't it? And it's been very difficult, isn't it, to be honest?
It has been difficult, and even though we've had a horror season, all we want is our football club, really.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, isn't it? As long as the football club survives, which I think the club is going to survive in these hard times. I think that's the main thing. But
it's gonna be rough, especially obviously with what's happened. But I have full faith in Phil and the team to do what's best.
Yeah, I completely agree. I've had many discussions over the pandemic about what's going to happen to the club, but God's honest truth, I've been bored off my nut. I think I said to you, I'm a qualified personal trainer now.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. So for all the Boro listeners listening to this podcast, as I have explained to you, there will be a Boro boot camp for all Boro fans, for players, for coaches, for whoever is associated with the football club. That will be getting started up soon. Are you going to take part, Reece?
Oh, well, I would have to let you know, Matt.
Oh, that sounds like you're bottling it there a little bit.
I must not commit to anything, Matt.
Are you a little bit scared of Farley's fitness? You think it might be quite
scared of you, if I'm honest.
No, I'm quite gentle, to be honest, on it, but it's the people that want me to shout at them where it's a bit awkward for me because I don't normally like shouting at people, do you know what I mean? But when I get a client and they're like, I want you to shout at me, it's a little bit like, well, it's scary. So, mate, coming in, we'll get right into it. So, obviously, it's been a while. It's been March, and we all know Crewe was the last game that we saw Boro play, and that was a 3-1 loss. So, the pandemic happens. The season was postponed. At the start, we didn't know what was going to happen. I think for many of us, we assumed that the season would restart again because we just thought it might be postponed for a couple of months and then maybe we'd be able to finish the season. But as time went on and on and on and on, I think it became clear, mate, didn't it, that the season wasn't going to finish. What did you honestly think would happen when the season was postponed?
Well, originally we didn't realise it'd take the grasp it had. And then more and more football people started contracting it, and you're thinking this is quite serious. Obviously, as you said, we started off thinking that we'd return at some point, and we were thinking, this break will do us good. Obviously, we didn't. And as time went on, you really, like any business, clubs can't keep spending the money and having no income coming in from tickets or on the bar or anything. I remember Dutch football went null and void, and I genuinely believed that everyone would follow suit. Then it became abundantly clear that wasn't an option, and then to me, I just don't think relegation's fair in those sorts of circumstances. And I know obviously teams got promoted, and I agree with that a little bit more, because not being promoted and being relegated are two very, very different sets of circumstances. Obviously then League Two voted to keep both Stevenage and Mac up. Obviously there to be no relegation. I thought that was the right thing to do, and then it's just been chaos, to be honest. And there's been many straws to clutch onto, and one by one they've disappeared.
Yeah, it's a really. I mean, I'm confused about that. I mean, when the season was postponed, I said to you, I thought it might restart, but obviously, when it got announced that the season was over a good few weeks ago, over a month ago, I thought, brilliant, okay, so that probably means the season's going to be null and void, just like the National League had announced, almost, to a degree. But then, news started coming out that things were going to be different, and actually there was going to be a vote, and when we had the vote, and I think it was, 20 teams out of 24 said no relegation. I thought,
yep.
Brilliant. That's out the neck of the woods. Brilliant. Obviously us being bottom, and then Macclesfield getting deducted more points, meaning with only 3 points away. I thought, brilliant. Okay, this is looking positive for us. And then obviously having the meetings that the EFL had and seeing the outlets, the journalists saying what had happened, and when it got announced a couple of weeks ago that actually they've gone back on the vote, and now they want to finish off the season with the points per game for, the promotional side and doing the playoffs, and then relegation would happen. To be honest, I couldn't believe it. I don't think it's fair. We had, 10 games left, a game in hand. I mean, all right, we went into those last however many games in an awful run of form, but, we were playing the teams consistently above us in a row, and I still felt with 3 points behind, a game in hand and 10 games left, we might have been able to do it, which is heartbreaking. And to then have it announced the other day that Macclesfield are only going to be deducted 2 points and Stevenage are relegated. I can't get my head around it.
Let's not mess about. We 100% deserve this. We've won 3 games, so we can't kick up too much of a fuss. But to me, to do it when it's not mathematically confirmed, it's such a huge thing. Yeah. Going into non-league, and it's just I don't understand. The EFL went to clubs, said sort things amongst yourselves. We come out with a solution, and then they turn it down. And then there's the whole Macclesfield situation, which I'm just not happy with. To be perfectly honest, why are they getting deducted different amount of points for the exact same crime? We've done nothing but follow the rules, and obviously, look, we've won 3 games, so we can't moan too much. But it's difficult to take, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean,
there's so many chances there's so many possibilities that could have happened if we carried on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, as we've just announced there, it was announced the other day that the independent committee came to a decision, and it looked like that they were only going to get, Macclesfield were only going to get deducted 2 of their suspended points, and that was it. Obviously, we needed more than that to stay up. So, yeah, no, I mean, obviously, we're waiting on confirmation, but it does mean that Boro are relegated back to the National League, which is very surreal to say. Since the news come out, and I think I said this to you off the record, for me it's a bit surreal. Like it doesn't feel like we've been relegated back to the conference. I think because the season hasn't technically properly finished in terms of we didn't finish all of our fixtures and we didn't get closure at Carlisle away on that last day of the season. For me, it feels a bit surreal, and I'm just kind of coming to terms with the fact that we're no longer a football league club. It's devastating. It's gutting. I'm heartbroken for the club because, you know, the amount of people that work so hard to get us in that position. It just feels like all that work's just gone out the window, and we have to start again, and we have to now build something to get the club back into the position where we deserve to be, and that's the football. Going forward, Reece, obviously, I know it's obviously still got to be confirmed, and there's loads of things going on with Macclesfield, with AGM meetings, and, you know, how Macclesfield going to be able to go forward and compete in League 2, and there's that debate over if that doesn't happen, maybe Stevenage are reimbursed.
Sorry, carry on.
No, go on. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, I think we're at the point where we kind of just have to plan for the National League now. I mean, I talked about straw clutching, but those are very thin straws to clutch at now. I think the National League housing us is more of a formality now, and it appears Macclesfield are going to be left off the hook because why would they want the blood on their hands?
I completely agree. And do you know what as well? It always seems like everything with Boro, it seems to have Macclesfield involved, doesn't it? Like for example, like when we were denied promotion, they were involved, stopped us, you know. When we first came up to the Football League, they were our first game. And then it seems like our relegation to the National League, it has them involved as well. I don't know what it is about Macclesfield, but...
The worst full circle ever.
Yeah, no, it is though, isn't it? I just don't agree with the EFL. I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the fact that relegation has happened. You know, and what I'm going to say, what pisses me off is you know, Bury. We all know what's happened to Bury, and there's been that uneven position in our division with the relegation. Why not just promote Boro and void the relegation? I mean, I don't understand it.
I don't understand what was wrong with our amendment that we offered to the EFL, in which the teams come up, the playoff team from non-league and Boro, and we just relegate one more next year, 2 teams next year, and then it's even. I just don't understand what was wrong with that proposal for teams. Obviously, I know we needed a majority championship vote, which is beyond ridiculous. There's just so many things I could pick holes in, but as I said, 99 times out of 100, if we had this points tally, we could carry on, and maybe other things could have happened, but we can't moan because we're the 100, can we? Well, we shouldn't have been in the position.
This is my point. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I don't agree with the fact that we've been relegated in terms of the fact that we had 10 games left and we had a game in hand. We were only 3 points behind. But we can't argue. I mean, we were bottom, and without those point deductions for Macclesfield, we were bottom by quite a bit, and we did have a lot of catching up to do. Okay, we had a game in hand, but, you know, things were not looking good. You know, we come home from that day at Crewe, didn't we? And the levels of difference in quality were just so far. And I did say too, we did, in my opinion, we did need a miracle in staying up. We did need Battersea to get points deducted. We needed that because, we haven't won a game since Cambridge, and that was so many games ago, wasn't it?
Well, let's not mess about. We just appointed a new manager, roughly. I thought we played decent enough at Crawley. I thought we were unlucky not to win that one.
Could have got a point.
Crewe, I think, would have gone on to win the league. And I thought, okay, it wasn't great, but we was okay. We had Danny Newton coming back. We had 7 of the bottom 10 to play. We had, there's so many what ifs we could play with, but it's just, I remember at Grimsby, when they made it 3-0, there were many red and rubbed eye in the crowd. In the
do you know, it's really funny. That was the game where I started to really panic about us going down.
We accepted it almost.
Yeah. I think what's kind of heartbreaking for me is we've shared some amazing memories, haven't we, in those 10 years? And it's a shame because it was our 10th year anniversary of being in the Football League, so to get relegated from that is heartbreaking. But I mean, we've shared some amazing memories, haven't we? Playoffs, just being a Football League club and just going to places like Morecambe, stupid hours of the day to see Stevenage play. I mean, me and you, we've shared so many memories over so many years, haven't we? If you were to pick, and I asked someone this the other day actually, obviously I think a lot of us would say that League 2 playoff final win was probably the pinnacle of those memories. If you had to choose, let's say 2 memories in the last 10 years, what would you choose from being a Football League club?
I to help you out, I won't choose the playoff final.
I know, other than,
It's tough. I mean, most definitely I would choose the 4-0 over Sheffield United.
Ooh, very good shot,
It was just one of those where a big club come to town and they faced the might of Stevenage. And another weird one for me was when we beat Pompey 2-1 away from home.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
That for me was special, packed out Fratton crowd, and we've just turned up and absolutely taught them a lesson, really. We were just unbelievable that day, and things were starting to build under Darren, and it really felt like something was building again. But there's been so many. We could go to the Wednesday game, as we said, the playoff finals, some of the playoff semis we've had. It's just been, it's been amazing.
Do you know, really, really good ones. For me, it's really difficult because there have been so many amazing memories as a Football League club. I mean, you could pick out, as you said, the first season in League 2, the League 1 season, then coming back into League 2. I mean, the memories are endless, and it almost makes it impossible to pick some out. I'd definitely join you on the Pompey win because, we were looked upon, although we were having a very good season under Darren in terms of being up the top, but, I don't think anyone would have expected to go to Fratton Park that day and win, and win convincingly. That was incredible. I even pick out from that season, the away wins when we beat Morecambe, when we beat Accrington in the snow, and we got drenched on the support coach. I love that. Just so many amazing memories. And for those, not to be gone because they'll be there forever, but to know
possibly
that
tainted.
League,
A little tainted, I think. Everyone remembers Kidderminster. Mate, all those years of waiting and that moment is kind of a little bit tainted now, really. And that's just heartbreaking.
I mean, it is, and I was really, really gutted yesterday. I was not upset, but I was gutted and annoyed because, again, I just thought back to going home and away to see Stevenage as a Football League club and the memories that we've shared. And do you know what? It's very funny, actually. The season that we've just had, I think we've probably created more memories, haven't we, in that season that we've gone down in?
As people, certainly, as watching the team goes, that I've made some more nightmares than memories.
We had some good weekends away last season. It was absolutely fantastic. Also, that. So, Reece, obviously, we're relegated. Obviously, we're waiting for confirmation, but obviously we've found out the verdict of Macclesfield, so we know that our beloved Stevenage are down. Going forward, and this is this has been talked about a lot because, you know, people have spoken about how do we rebuild as a club? We've announced our players list, retained, released. I just want to get your thoughts on that really quickly because obviously it worked out that Scotty signed a new deal, which I think is huge in being in the National League. He's the type of leader that we need, don't we, in the National League? What's your thoughts on that? Because we've kept, I do believe it's Charlie Carter, Scotty, Terence, Luther, Elliot List, Louis Fernandez, Arthur Warrington. We've got a nice little selection of players there, but we have released a hell of a lot of players. What's your thoughts on that?
So 22 players have been released, and by Joel Byram, and you know what, Tyler.
Yeah.
So the rest of them, see ya. Honestly. Look, it may seem harsh. It's an awful lot of players. I think we've had 50 players wear the Stevenage shirt this year.
Jokes. No.
But look, we've won 3 league games. Change was important. Where things needed to change, Braves understood that, and I'm happy with the players we've kept. Obviously, Jamie Fielding is among them too. We've got a good core of players there, certainly for whatever league we were going to be in, because we kind of released that list before we kind of knew what league we'll be in. I'm happy overall. I think I would have kept Tyler. I think Sasha is down to certain visa issues and Brexit issues. But look, some of them were unlucky, but ultimately we needed to make changes.
Yeah, a really good point, Reece, and some really good highlighting a few players there that could have stayed, but for the rest, you know, as you say, see ya. I think the 6 players that we've kept, I think that's a really good platform to start from for the National League, because players like Scotty, we all know Scotty's such an experienced leader, such a great player, but players like Charlie Carter and Luther, you know, they've come from the non-league, so that will be a good base and a platform. Again, I thank all the players that have left for their efforts, but yeah, I mean, there are some
what efforts? No,
but you know what I mean, as in, you know, some of them did give it a go, players like Jason Cowley and players like that, you know.
Some of them.
Yeah, that's my point. You know, players like Jason Cowley who did give it a good go. I thank them for their efforts because, you know, I feel
sorry for Jason in the fact that we picked him from the 9th tier, and suddenly, come October, we're relying on him up top. So
I completely agree. I mean, a player that I'm gutted to see go, but I think he had to go was Ben Kennedy. Look, Ben's been a legend for us. Like he started when he was a 15-year-old.
He's not been a legend. He's not been a legend.
No, but you know what I mean. He's provided us with a couple of amazing moments. I mean, you know, we'll never forget the goal at Luton and some of the other things that Ben's done. But it's a shame for it not to have worked out for Ben, isn't it? It's we said it this season, didn't we? You know, he was probably on borrowed time. And I think I expected once the season was over that Ben would inevitably move on.
I think he will go down, and most Stevenage fans' books as the most frustrating player they've ever watched. Look, Ben's a talented boy, but we'll be lying if we thought his head was in the game for Stevenage. I know he cared, but I can't honestly say I think he always worked his hardest. I'm gutted for sentimental reasons, but for football reasons, it's absolutely the right decision. I think he'll possibly go somewhere now where he can thrive. Look, when Wesley come in, we went, if there's one man that can get it out of Ben Kennedy, it would be Graham Wesley, and ultimately he didn't. So
do you know what I think? I have a funny feeling. I reckon Ben Kennedy might go and team up with Darren Sarll at Yeovil.
Yeah, Sarll got the fire in his belly. Not quite Wesley, but Sarll definitely got the fire in his belly, and I thought they had quite a nice balance.
Because they've got quite a nice, I say friendship, but they've got quite a nice connection into, haven't they? They're, I know that Darren was quite almost like a father figure to Kenners when Kenners was younger, I think.
Because obviously Sarll was the youth team manager as well.
Yeah, I think they had quite a good bond, to be fair. I'm going to pick one out for you, Reece. Ben Nugent. Because I know you love Nuge. Come on. I know. Deep down, you've got a soft spot for Nuge. Obviously, you've seen Nuge go. What are your thoughts?
I like Nuge as a personality, definitely. And I think in certain systems, he could prove effective at this level. But you can't have the season Ben Nugent had for us and expect an all gleaming new contract to put on the table.
Yeah,
you can't.
Agree with you.
He come from higher ups. We were expecting. Obviously, he's a good player, Nuge, and I won't hear otherwise. But all the long balls that were painful, he was either not being coached properly, which I admit is possible, or he just wasn't listening. And I think we were expecting this almighty player because he's come from the Championship and played lots of games in League One. And ultimately, we've got a player that needs to be heavily coached. And maybe when we've got Scott and Terence who can play centre-back, I would like to see Terence play centre-back. We've got Louis coming through. It just wasn't necessary. Yeah. And maybe Nuge didn't felt it was time as well, because I think he was kind of getting frustrated.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know, I'm still convinced though that Ben Nugent's greatest moment for Boro was the goal at Jersey. I'm sorry, I still to this day. I think that was our greatest moment of the season. I think it was. And we still went 1-0 down in that game, so I think we all knew what was going to happen this season, didn't we? My God. So obviously we've announced the player retained player retained. We're still speaking to Newts and Paul Farman, so hopefully with the predicament we are in going down, fingers crossed we can sign both of them. I mean, from a personal point, I'd like to think Danny Newton would re-sign because he was injured last season. I'm not sure about Paul Farman, however, because we had Farms on your interview pod, didn't we? And he kind of flirted around the idea, so we don't really know too much about Farms, do we?
I don't think either will get the offers they would have got pre-COVID if they were to leave. Obviously, the market's going to be very, very different whenever it opens now. I would feel sorry for Farman if he stayed. That's not saying don't stay, but I would certainly feel sorry. I think he could play League One level. I think we can all agree on that. If he stays, great for Farms, but I can't see it personally. But who knows? Farms may surprise us. He is in that case after all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, make no bones about it. I think obviously it hasn't been awarded, but I think we all give Farms Player of the Season last season. I think
by absolute,
a landslide. I think Farms is more than good enough to be a Football League goalkeeper, and as much as I would
he even said it to us on the pod, didn't he? When he left Lincoln, he didn't really want to drop into non-league. So
yeah, I don't expect Farms to sign, but if Farms did sign, if he did, decide to sign, I mean, we've got a very, very good platform for next season. Danny Newton, again, out of the two, I would expect us more to sign Danny Newton because, again, Newts was injured for a lot of last season, so probably not a lot of other clubs are going to be wanting to sign him for the sole fact that he's been injured, he's missed a lot of football, so it might be easy to give Danny a new deal. Danny might, want to start just getting back playing, scoring goals again, and then saying in a year's time to Danny, right, you've had a good season, do you want to move on? Do you want to stay? I think Danny will probably sign on, if I'm completely honest.
Well, we don't know the wages issue, do we? I think possibly, given Newts' last 2 seasons, they might have been cut. The offer might have been less than what it was offering. We don't really know, do we? I think Newts would absolutely be a good striker to have in the conference.
He's come from that level, isn't he? Again, he's a player that's come from that level, isn't he? So, I mean, we all say it, he's so raw, Newts, that he could almost play in any of those leagues, couldn't he? So for him to be with us in the conference, I actually think Danny Newton could be the top goal scorer in that division next season, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. So, obviously, I'm not expecting either to sign, but if we can get that over the line, it'll be a huge, huge boost because those would, in my opinion, be 2 of the best players in the conference.
Yeah, most definitely. One player I just want to highlight that I'm absolutely chuffed that they're going to have for the National League next season is Charlie Carter. I thought Chaz, out of those selection of players, I thought, he ended up, I think, our top goal scorer last season. And to be fair to Chaz, he scored some goals. He was a good player. He was a good player, Chaz, last season. And coming from Woking, obviously we'll get onto that a little bit later, but it'll be good for him. And it's good for us to keep Chaz in the National League. I think that's another really important player for next season.
Yes, Charlie was quite simply our best outfield player. He had a good start to life. He still needs coaching. There's certain things like Crew losing his marker and stuff like that. But attacking wise, I think he puts balls into spaces. I think he he's quite intelligent. Charlie, I think he's got good passing ability. I think he has an eye for a goal, obviously, and I think he's a really good player. Yeah, the player I wanted to highlight was, and I wondered your thoughts, was Elliot List.
Yeah, I was, to be completely honest with you, I was a little bit surprised. Good
way or bad way?
No, it was just, I was surprised because I had a feeling that Listy would look to move on, but the fact that we've retained Listy, see, the thing is, I actually like Elliot List, and to be honest with you, I'm going to make a real point now. I think Elliot List would be a much better player in the National League than he would be League Two. I think because he's got so much pace and he's very talented, I think at the National League level, those players really come out their shell. And I think he would be, okay, he had an all right, he didn't have the best this season last season, with it being his first season, but I think the National League, I think that type of player, with his pace in that division, I think Elliot List could be a really good asset next season, actually. I think that's quite a good player to keep.
Yeah, it's difficult, isn't it? I think Elliot, to me, is the type of player that would do. He done fairly well in League One with Gillingham, wasn't standout. And then come to League Two, very physical, very centre back, is on you like glue league, and obviously struggled in a team where we were struggling for everything. I don't think Listy was ever going to be the signing that fixed everything. I think we've got to play to his strengths, whether we play him on the wing or up top. There's no doubt there's a good player in there. Revs obviously wants to keep him, and that's very much a bonus. bonus for the National League because, as we said with Notes, I really do think Listy could be up there for goal scorers.
Yeah, I think it's certainly. I think he'll certainly be one of the best players in that league. I think Listy will do very well in the National League actually. So we've mentioned it there, haven't we? Rebs. Now we haven't really confirmed or announced who is manager, but by the way that things have gone, and we've appointed Lenny Lawrence, haven't we? Another advisor, we'll say.
We kind of hid it at the bottom of that article, didn't we?
Yeah, we did,
Lenny will join Revs.
Obviously, we'll mention that, obviously, with Lenny becoming advisor. So we take it that Revs is going to be manager at Boro next season in the National League.
Yes. Yeah, that's what's happening. Revs manager.
Now, I don't know about you, I'm actually quite over the moon with that. I think Revs has got the potential to be a very successful manager, and for him to come in that really difficult period when we were having such an awful run of form after Graham and during Graham, I thought Revs started. I saw improvements with some of the football that we were playing at Crawley and
much better.
There was some, we were passing the ball much more, weren't we? Now, your thoughts on it? I know, obviously. Well, I think we all know what your thoughts will be on Revs because you're obsessed with Revs, aren't you? But for me, very happy with that. I think he's the right man for the job, especially in the division that we're going to be in next season. I think Revs has got that type of personality that he can really input on the club in the National League. Happy with Revs?
Yeah, definitely. I think when he took over, I'll be honest with you, I was a little reluctant to it. And then, just listen to Revs talk. Honestly, he'd done a podcast with Joe Drakford and Lee Allenson, and he spoke about us as a club superbly and what he wants to do. The things he said on the retain list article, I think he's got huge potential to be a good manager. He's always been a manager in boots, really, hasn't Revs. I think he's more ruthless and more demanding than maybe we think he is. I think he knows what he wants. I think he wants to play. I think he has a set style, and I just think it's a long-term project with Revs. It has to be, and we have to give him time, a lot of time, and let him build and let him put his stamp on things, because I think there's huge potential there for Revs.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think as well, the great thing about Revs is he's played a very good level. He's played for the club. But the point I'm going to make now is, for us to be in League Two, for Revs to be having his first managerial stint, right? Now, every time we've had a manager in League Two where it's been their first managerial stint, so if I use Sheringham and Saul as an example, and to be fair, Manria as a football manager, it's never worked out, has it? You know, that level is so competitive, and there's so much money that it's very difficult to start out as a manager in that level. But to be in the National League, and I know the National League is equally as tough, I think Revs will do a lot better with us in the National League to start than he probably would do as a League Two club, maybe. What do you think?
I think you have to only look at some of the managers in the National League in the minute. You look at Ian Ebbett at Boro, took his first job there, and look at them now. I think there's
look at Darren Saul. Look at Darren Saul.
Yeah, look at Sarley. It's a good opportunity for Revs. Look, it's completely fresh beginnings now. He has the free canvas. He has a blank canvas, and it's time to let him paint. I think he's got. I just think he is going to. We have to give him time to build.
I completely agree. And look, we know the National League's going to be tough, but I like that. Look, I'm not saying there's no pressure on him, because obviously every manager's got pressure to do a good job, or you're out the window. But I think there's not so much weight on his shoulders now, as in that League Two, because we know how difficult that League Two is with the finances and the bigger club. I mean, look at that next season. It would have been Bolton, Bradford. You know, it would have been such a high competitive division. At least in the National League, all right. You know, the National League is no pushover. It's a tough league down there. But as you say, it's a fresh start. It's a new challenge. He can build whatever team he likes. He's kept the 6 or 7 players, hopefully with Newton Farms, that he wants. And you're right. Let him paint. Let him go to work and start and rebuild the football at our football club, because I feel like the branding's been great at the club. Don't get me wrong. I think, you know, the new badge, the new stand, that's been fantastic. But the football, I think, really suffered last year, and we need to get back to playing successful, winning football again. And I think Revs has got the ability to do that in the National League. I really do.
Yeah. I think the main thing is over the last couple of years we've had player power. Ultimately, I think players have kind of run things, but I think with Revs he gets respect pretty much straight away because of how he was as a player, what he's done as a player, and the type of person he is. He demands it, and if anyone's not on board, they'll be shipped out. And I think that's something we've needed. And I'm not saying that Dino wasn't somewhat good in that area, but I just think that maybe at times there was a few walkovers in that group. There was. I think I would like to think Phil's learned now, and that the manager absolutely has to be in charge. And I don't think Revs would have took the job if he didn't. Sorry, go on.
No, sorry, my fault. No, I was just going to say it was a very good point, actually, because the amount of lessons that a lot of the people at the club would have learned with what's just happened. I honestly think that, do you know what, I might get slated for saying this, right? And I did in February. I think it's devastating what's happened. I think to get relegated is it's crap. It's crap for so many reasons, you know.
You got slated for a reason, Farley.
No. You know what I mean? Like how hard Boro worked to get into the position, right? The fact that we only get that certain amount of funding for a certain period of time, and things with the foundation and people losing their jobs and the academy as well, you know, it's all devastating and it's heartbreaking, to be honest with you. However, I do think it gives the club a chance to start again, because I felt like when we lost at Sheffield United that night in the playoffs, and I think we all knew that all of those great players were going to move on, there was a feeling inside me, inevitably, that we would find ourselves back in the conference. I don't know what it is. I just had a feeling that after that it would go backwards, and it has done. And at least now we can start again.
Do you agree with the idea that this has been coming, this sort of season?
Yeah, to be honest with you, mate, I have. When we appointed Teddy Sheringham, and when obviously Graham or who else went elsewhere, I had a feeling that inevitably we were going to go backwards. And okay, we had that period under Darren Saal where things looked very positive, and it looked like we were building a setup, but then Chaz was released, Schumacher was released, and then inevitably it went backwards again. I just felt that this season had been coming. When Elias came last season, he saved so many things, and again it papered over.
Do you know who I blame for this season?
Did you blame Chair?
I blame Elias Chair.
Yeah.
He covered so many cracks last season that we went into this season probably a little bit cocky, if we're being honest, because we players.
We all went to Salford thinking, this season's going to be a walk in the park, didn't we? And it just,
champions by Christmas.
I remember going on SG1 radio, and me and Joe Drakford, I think you were on as well. Me and Joe Drakford, we were doing our predictions, and Joe went, "What's your prediction, Matt?" And I went, "I think we'll get fourth this season. I think we'll be up the top. I think Jason Cowley's going to bang in this amount of goals. I think Paul Digbeat's going to play every single game of the season. I just couldn't think of a worse prediction.
I think it slowly unravelled, really, didn't it? I mean, we look at the pre-season after Peterborough, it was horrendous.
Yeah.
Peterborough,
let's be honest.
Peterborough, I thought we looked sharp. I thought the players looked fit. I thought we put Peterborough on the back foot, and they played the first team as well. We played really well, got a good result, and then after that, it kind of fell apart. I think we look at St Albans and Maidenhead.
Yeah, where poor friendlies, weren't they? I will say one thing about that league too. The level gets better almost every year, I swear. I mean, if you go from the season when it was like when we had Ilias to then this season, I looked upon this season, and I thought this season was going to be an easier season for us because I looked at the teams that had come up, like Salford. Don't get me wrong, I know Salford have a lot of money, etc., with what's happened. But I looked at this season and thought, I think we're going to be fine this season. But again, the level, it's almost like it's got better and there's more money. And you look at a lot of the ex-Premier League players that are now in that league and you think, my God, it just seems to get better every year. And
technically, we had ex-Premier League players in people like Tom Sauls and stuff.
And do you know what it is with those ex-Premier League players as well, being in League Two? And I've got funny enough, I've got a friend actually who's also a personal trainer, and he played for MK Dons when he was a young kid, and he now plays for Harlow Town. Called Lawrence, really nice lad. But I was having a chat with him a couple of weeks ago about our predicament, and he told me the reason why those Premier League players actually drop down the level. And basically, he was saying to me, the reason why they do that is it's not necessarily because they're too old to play at the division. They're normally on the back end of their careers, but what they do cleverly is they drop down a couple of levels, so they take a pay cut. But then what they do is they get not another little job on the side, but they find a way of how to earn extra money on the side. So they actually get paid more than they would do playing on a professional contract for like a championship club.
Yeah, it's very clever. I mean, we do look at Salford, obviously, he's released now, but they had Darren Gibson. They had, I mean, some of the players at this level just should not be at this level.
Yeah, I mean, if you look, Tom Sauls, I think James Varney is another for Cheltenham.
Luke Varney.
Luke Varney, sorry. Another player. There seems to be a lot that have dropped down, and obviously that being the reason. But, you know, as we've explained, it is gutting to see our position. And it's good that we've got Res next season. And obviously Lenny Lawrence is a big part. We don't know anything about Mark yet, do we? Obviously,
Phil said on the radio that will be the coaching team.
Mark
will be part.
He's brilliant. Well, I've got to be honest, that's a brilliant setup because we know how well Mark and Revs get on, don't we? So that's big.
I think Lenny is a big appointment actually as well.
He's very experienced. He's been around so many different clubs, isn't he? High profile clubs as well. Yeah,
I mean he's obviously helped Michael Flynn most recently, and I think that he's been a huge part of Newport's success. So to have him at the club is huge for us.
Completely agree. Obviously, we're devastated over the news. However, you know me, Reece, and I'm probably one of the most positive people. Not just with Boro.
I never realised.
Just with life with me. So, I don't know about you, but after the news was announced, I think we were all devastated and heartbroken to now know that Boro, we're going to be a national club again, and we're going to have to get used to that environment. But I'm quite excited because I look at it as a new challenge, a new chapter, and a new fresh start. And I feel like in order for our football club at Stevenage to rebuild and improve, we need to go through that process. A little bit like Lincoln, you could say. And I look at it now, and as you say, a fresh canvas with the new team, so we'll see who we sign. But the National League, what do you think of the league? There are so many interesting sides in it. We're going to have the Derby Day against Woking again, which we haven't had for years. I've got the league table in front of me. Obviously, they're having their playoffs at the minute, so we don't know who's going to go up in those playoffs.
Well, some of the teams in the playoffs, I had an intense debate yesterday with other Stevenage fans about where Brackley is. This is what life has come for us.
I got to be honest. I looked at the league and I was completely shocked. I'm just going to put one team out there. We're going to see Stevenage at Wealdstone. I mean, it doesn't.
Yeah, I can't lie.
With me there.
We've been googling some grounds and they did not look good.
I'm just going to say it. We've been used to seeing Stevenage play at Valley Parade, and now we're going to entertain the Wealdstone Raider. So I'm a little bit.
We get to see Bootlegger at Newport. Oh my God. Wrexham. There we go.
Wrexham fan. I'm just going to throw some teams out. So obviously we know the Notts Counties and the Yeovils, the Halifaxes, obviously. But I'm just going to throw some teams. Obviously Barnet being one, but they're competing at the minute. Let's try and go up. Hartlepool. We know Hartlepool.
Oh, we have to go back there.
I'm excited about that. Chesterfield.
Chesterfield, I like Chesterfield away. To be perfectly honest with you, I like it. I like Chesterfield.
So I think me and you are going to have an amazing week out there, mate. Oh, what a night out it is up in Sheffield. Dagenham and Redbridge again. We
had loads of London ones, didn't we? It's very Londony.
I'm just going to read some out. Yeah, I'm just going to read some out. Sutton, Bromley, obviously Barnet, depending on if Barnet don't go up. Dagenham and Redbridge.
They will. It's written in the stars now.
Written in the stars, yeah. Kings Lynn, obviously coming up. Yeah.
What has become of our club?
Yeah, Aldershot, we've been there before. Torquay United. So the last time we played them was the League Two playoff final. That's going to be weird.
I think under what the league suggested, we'll face Maidenhead as well.
Oh, really?
I think it's only 3 going down, which is Fylde, Chorley, Ebbsfleet. I'm a bit relieved not to be going Ebbsfleet.
Maidenhead. Oh my God, I played at Maidenhead. Well, we went in a friendly. Oh God, that is a tiny ground, dear me. I'm going to throw another team in there. Dover Athletic.
I mean, let's look at some of the teams in the playoffs. There's York. I think Bath are in them. I think there's some. Good. We could possibly have Harrogate. Obviously, they're in the playoffs.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, Bath would be good because that's a really Bath's a lovely. When I've been there, when Stevenage played at Swindon and had a day out in Bath and Bowman and all that, and lovely place.
Weymouth might come up.
God. I'm going to say one as well. I'm just looking at the league table again. Obviously, Stockport, big ground.
Stockport. Solihull.
But my point is, do you know what? I know we've been relegated to the National League or a National League club, but it's almost like a League 3. There's a lot of big grounds, Reece.
Yeah,
in the National League.
You said it. There's also a lot of small ones. You said it to fans, didn't you? That the National League has almost become a League 3 because of the quality that it has. I think we need to be careful ourselves in the sense we can't become confident. We've come down, we're going to be fine. I think we have to be careful, but I think the most important thing now is to be confident. We can't feel sorry for ourselves much longer. We can't feel hard done by, even though I kind of would understand it. We have a blank canvas now. This is a fresh start.
Challenge.
We cannot become York. We cannot get relegated to us.
Yeah,
it just can't happen.
I completely agree with you. I've said this, and this is why I'm actually quite excited to see Stevenage play in the National League, for the sense that it's a new challenge, it's a new task, it's a new season, new fresh start, new league. There's other things that come with it. FA Trophy, if that can get running.
I can't wait. We have to qualify for the FA Cup.
The FA Cup. So for me, you see, I know League 2's great, and to be in the Football League's great, but you do get accustomed to it after a while, and we're in a new league now, and there's new challenges, and I find that quite exciting to see Stevenage and support Stevenage through that.
Well,
I will say this.
I do hope away fans are let in.
Yes, 100%. I will say this though. Everybody who is associated to Boro and is a Boro fan and supports Boro through thick and thin, next season, back the club through thick and thin, be vocal, be together, because I tell you, if we can do that and if we can build a good team, as Yeovil and Notts County have shown, you can compete to come up straight away. It can happen. So
I think we need to look at Yeovil for inspiration. Obviously, they've got
exactly the same similar size as well.
Very similar size clubs in my opinion. A fairly fresh manager. Obviously, Darren's a bit different, having 2 years with us, but it's a fresh start for everyone. They wiped clean and they bought winners. Ultimately, everyone's on board, and now look, they're in the playoffs, and I certainly wouldn't be the ones to bet against them.
I completely agree, and I said this back in February. Us and Yeovil are similar size, so let's learn from what Yeovil have done, starting afresh with a side, and go again. So I think we've got a very good chance to have a very good season in the National League. But I completely agree with you. Don't treat it easily, because it is a very difficult side, and as we've seen with teams like Dagenham, Chesterfield, Wrexham, Torquay, you can slip down and get stuck in the mud there. It's very difficult to get out of. But
I think Wrexham have been there 17 years now.
It's ridiculous. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see our club compete in that division. New challenges and a new fresh start. And, let's go again. And hopefully what we've done as a football club during the pandemic, hopefully the club will be rewarded by people going, I tell you what, we're going to go and support Stevenage for what they've done for the community, and we can really rally and push. The good thing is, mate, which is going to be nice, is we're going to actually look like a big club for a change.
Yeah, we'll be viewed upon as a big club. I think
it's going to be nice, isn't it, for a change?
I think we'll still be that little team in Hertfordshire, peeing teams off for certain. But look, it's great to be a big club. I think it will be a bigger attraction for players in the National League, and I think we'll. Okay, it depends how Wrexham the team does, but I think we might start to be feared again and not liked again, and that's a huge thing for teams coming to the Lamex. Yeah,
I completely agree. Very good point. I was going to make this point to you. I think we're in a really good position because unlike a Wrexham or a Chesterfield, I know Wrexham and Chesterfield have had their different times in the division, but say, for example, a Wrexham, the good thing about Boro and being in the division is we're going to be looked upon as one of the bigger clubs, meaning that we'll probably have a better chance of buying the better players in that division. So let's use all the things that we have to our advantage. So, the Bradbury End training facility, the ground that we've got now. Let's use those things to attract the best players to come and join our club, which we find difficult to do in League Two because there's so many bigger organisations with bigger budgets. Well, at least now we're a bit more of a big fish in a pond,
I think we'll have a bit more money as well. Obviously, we will. If we do go legal, I'd imagine even if we lose, we'll get some kind of compensation for how we went down. We have the Burger King money, and I think in a cash-strapped league, obviously we're not going to be particularly rich, but in a cash-strapped league, we might have one of the bigger budgets.
Yeah, do you know, I got shot down for saying this back in February, that in terms of those things, it wouldn't be a bad idea, but it wouldn't. I mean, if you look at our club and, for example, we normally go to other grounds and go, oh my God, look at the ground we're playing at. But now, if you look at people like Weldstone, imagine how excited they are to going to come and play at a ground like ours, but it's so much bigger than their ground. Do you know what I mean?
We're genuinely going to look at grounds and still go, look at where they play, but in a different context.
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's looking at grounds and going, oh my God, we're going to only be playing about 500 people, which is going to be weird. But my point is also, because we'll be a bigger club in the division, if fans are allowed to go for away at home, a lot more fans are going to want to come to our place because we're looked upon as one of the bigger grounds. So that's more revenue in a way for our club. So there are a lot of positives. All right, we're not in the Football League, but there's loads of positives for us for next season being in the division. If you had to choose, Reece, one place that you're looking forward to going next season to see Stevenage, where would it be?
I'm looking forward to Torquay, mate. Obviously, I know most fans are going to say I'm looking forward to the Woking thing reignited, but for me personally, I'm really looking forward to Torquay and possibly Weymouth.
Torquay in the sun, wouldn't it be lovely? That'd be a lovely weekend down there,
So that means a Tuesday night in December.
I'm looking forward to, so I'm going to join two. Torquay's one. That will be really weird because the last time that we played them, we were both in the League Two player final. So to play them in the conference, that's going to be really, really strange. Other one I'm going to pick out, I'm really looking forward to going to Stockport because that's Manchester.
Yeah.
That'll be a really good weekend. Big ground, and I've never seen Stevenage play there. And Halifax as well. I've always wanted to go there to see Stevenage.
Yeah, there'll be some great... Look, there's some solace in non-league for us, definitely, for us supporters. But, yeah, definitely. As we said, we're kind of looking forward to it, but at the same time, we're still grieving on everything at the minute.
Yeah, I completely agree. So obviously, we've got to wait till the National League confirm the start date because that's all a bit up in the air. So there's still more things that we have to go through. But
I've seen some stuff about 12th of September, 5th of September, that sort of time. So it's a quick turnaround, really.
Quick turnaround. Hopefully we can get a nice little pre-season in and look, let's go again. New fresh start, new challenge. I'm excited. It's going to be good, mate. It's going to be good, Now, we'll come on to the ends. You did put out a little tweet about some questions.
I did.
So we're going to go through some questions, seeing that we've covered everything that's obviously happened. We've got quite a few questions, so we'll get through these quickly, Reece. First question I'm going to come to you with. Question that I've just asked you. It's from Ben. Ben has asked, what's one away day you're looking forward to next season?
Yeah, there we go. We answered that one.
I think
that's a Notts fan, so we'll quickly slide that under the table.
yeah, hopefully. Next question, Dave. Dave has asked me, do you feel dropping down to the National League could help long-term with youth development with younger players already in the squad, or do you think it will hinder them? I think it's a good question because I think for some of the youth players, as we've seen over the past years when we've had players like George Boyd come through young and start, the National League is, as we've seen with players that we've sent out on loan, players like Liam Snipe, etc., those divisions are actually quite good for the younger players. As Paul Farman said, when he was a younger player and he'd play in those National Leagues, it's very good. It's a very good learning curve for the professional game. So I think actually for players like Jack Smith and for Luis Fernandez, I think the National League would be quite a good league for them to play in and build up some really good experience and get some games in the bag.
I think you've got to be ready. Obviously, Arthur played 1 or 2 games for Braintree just before we obviously everything happened. I'll be honest, we probably have more opportunities to play the youth in League Two because when you're floating around mid-table, you can take risks. Definitely, I think.
Yeah.
I think Louis has a chance. Definitely, I think. Obviously, you've got to have a strong spine in non-league. You've got to have winners at centre-back, in the midfield, up front, and I think it'll be difficult for those players. But if you're good enough, you'll make it. And the one this year for me will probably be Louis.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Louis, when he actually played for us in last season, I thought he was phenomenal in nearly every game. I think the only game that he had trouble with was Carlisle, but that was because McCurdy's pace is just ridiculous, isn't it?
So I thought it was a little unlucky there, especially when we had Kellen Watts next to him, Luther, very inexperienced backline.
I agree with you about the winners part. I watched a lot of highlights last night from the National League. It's a good level. Like the football is actually quite good. It's a bit like League Two in the sense where I think year on year, the football in that division has actually improved. It's got
I
better.
mean, look at the sides not having that league, and they're not top. Just
I know.
It's incredible.
It looks like you need a mix. It looks like you actually need technically good players, but then you need the winners, as you say, the Cuthberts, the Newtons, those type of personalities. Next question is from Callum Jackson. Callum has asked, how many years before we return? That's a very good
$1 million question, isn't it? I can't say it first year, if I'm being perfectly honest, but look, feel free to surprise me, Stevenage.
I think that's a tough question.
I think we have a huge opportunity the first year. As I said, we probably have a bit more money. We're a bigger attraction to players because we just come down. I think there's an opportunity, but it's going to be difficult. Of course it is.
I think if we're going to return, we'll do it in the first 3 years. I think if we're going to return soon, because as you say, I think the positives about our club going down is because we're fresh from League Two, we've got a better chance of getting the best players in the division. We've got more to offer. So I think if we're going to return, a bit like Yeovil and Notts County are trying to do it, it will be probably in our first couple of years. If I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, look, if we're there after 2 years, I think we'll be there a long time. I think we've said it ourselves on the pods previously. The fact that there is a huge chance we're going to be down in the conference for a long, long time if we're not careful.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Even possibly below that.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. In my opinion, I think we'll do it. I think we will return. And I have a feeling that we could do it in the first 2 years. I mean, look, teams have done it. Cheltenham did it in a season. Yeovil and Notts County proving that they're up there competing and they can do it. It can be done. That Lincoln got relegated and then quite a few years later they then come back up. It can be done. It's not impossible, but there are the flip of the coin where you've got teams like Wrexham, you've got teams like York that have massively struggled to maintain. So we've got to be very careful, and we've got to be the fresh start. We've got to be very successful quickly, because if not, we don't want to be a Wrexham where we're stuck down there for years. You know what I mean? So if we're going to do it, I think we'll do it in the first few years.
After the first year, the novelty of certain aways we mentioned might wear off.
Yeah, I completely agree. Couple more questions. David has asked, how long do you see the club in the National League? Will the club fight this in court? Again, I think we've just answered. Again, in my opinion, I think the first few years, if we're going to return, we'll return. Will the club fight this in court? What do you think, Reece? Do you think there's any point?
Unless the compo is seriously worth it, compensation, I'm not sure. I wouldn't go forward for court unless the compensation was massively worth it, because you look at it, the members vote. A vote is arguably the fairest way to do things amongst all the clubs. And then we look at the independent panel. The FA charged them with it, so you can't sue the independent panel. So it becomes very difficult and very sticky ground. It will cost a lot of money as well. It's a lot of time.
Do you honestly know my opinion on it? Honestly, I just let it go. I don't think we're going to win anything. It's shown that we've been stitched up big time. I'd let it go.
The compensation might be worth it even if we lose. So I don't know. Look, we certainly deserve something, I think, to be relegated in this way, because ultimately I think Chud, to everyone in the Stevenage fan base knows, figured out that we lose between 1.5 and 2 million a year.
Yeah,
a lot of money.
I do agree with you. I think I would look upon how much a club can actually gain from the court hearings and things like that. If it's going to cost more than we're going to gain, then I would just let it go, to be honest.
Yeah,
so that we don't lose any more money.
Decision. We're still waiting, obviously, on a statement. We assume there will be one. But as we said, we're not actually down yet either. I mean, it's a matter of time. But and formalities, etc. But it's all about.
Yeah, I like that. Last question comes from Dom. Dom has asked, what signings do you realistically see and want us to make for next season in the National League?
I think we kind of said earlier, winners.
I think, winners. No, I think to play in that division, you need winners. You see, that division has got that. It's always had that reputation for being big, strong, and physical. But I think the division has moved on from that.
Yeah,
I think you need those sort of players.
In some regards, certainly.
But
look at Boro. They play 3-4-3 passing football.
I know that, and they're quite a small team. Which is
really small, low budget. That's one of the smaller budgets.
Yeah, I think looks like the division has got better, in that regard.
I think we need to buy players this year, unlike we did last time. Obviously, different manager, different strategies.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Leon has learnt some lessons as well.
I'm sure he has. Sure. My word.
But I think we need to buy players more on the up rather than maybe on the up and unluckily released because of money or something along them lines, rather than the ones that have done the League Two roundabout and played in League Two and League One. The journey meant I think we need to look at more upwards curve players without a shadow of a doubt.
I agree. I think it's a good thing. I think, again, Revs, what I liked about what Rev said is he said that he wants to get a winning formula back at Boro, and that's what we all want to see. I think the good thing about being in the National League is, look, we don't know the season yet, but I'd like to think we'd start to see winning football at Boro. We'd start to rebuild the club and reshape how we want to go forward in the future and how we get back to being a Football League club. So I'm very excited for the new challenge. There's plenty of new things that we're going to be seeing as a football club next season. And mate, bring it on. Let's back the club. Let's be vocal and get through this together and make us a stronger football club.
Well, you kind of answered. I was going to ask a question myself and said, is there a message you want to send? You'd want supporters to hear now. So
yeah, it's literally just, look, obviously we're coming, hopefully, fingers crossed, we're coming out the other end of the pandemic, which has been, a very important thing for the last few months. But what I'd say to the Boro fans is support the club. We're all gutted. We're all in it together. Support the club. Be vocal. Be proud. One other thing I forgot to mention on the podcast is buy your new kits because they're beautiful.
Oh, they are fantastic.
Oh, mate, I've got my home and away one sitting in there, and I just cannot wait to get them on for the new season.
Have my away one on right now.
Oh, top man. I'm literally sitting right next to it. I love the away kit. Oh, it's beautiful. Buy your kits, back the club. All right, chins are down for now, but get your chin up. Let's go again. Let's support Rez. Let's support the players that he brings in. And let's be excited and let's look forward to being back in the Lamex and preparing for a new season with new challenges. That would be my message to the Boro fans.
Yeah, I think something similar. Like I said, that now not the time to feel sorry for ourselves now. We can't feel hard done by. It's time to support the club in whatever way we can now, because these are tough times. This club has kind of beaten all odds previously to get to the League One playoffs due to the nature of our fan base and the togetherness of the community and the town and the sort of environment that the club had. This is far from the end. This relegation is not the end. We will rise again, and as the dying message we could possibly give is that destiny will always take over.
Yeah, I completely agree, and I'll say this again. I love what you said there. It's not the end, actually. It's the start of something new. It's the start of the rebuilding process. And look, let's do this together. Let's be one. Let's be proud of our club. And you know what, Reece? Let's just be happy for the sake that we have a football club. Because I tell you, with all the stuff that's gone on, it could have been it could have been much worse, couldn't it? It could have been much worse.
Yes, definitely. Given the last 3 months, it's put everything in perspective. Certainly, Ari, having the football club, certainly.
Completely agree. Mate, it's been an absolute pleasure. I know, obviously, we've been a bit heartbroken about the news recently, but have you enjoyed being back on the pod?
Oh, always, mate. Always a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. Now, we were talking, and I think you've spoken to Drackers a bit about it. Hopefully, we can sort out a big Boro, I say end of season bash, but a big celebration, possibly.
I wouldn't say celebration.
No, not a celebration, but a commiseration meet up. Obviously, if the social distancing measures are still in place, that will probably have to be something that we think about. But we'll have to sort something out where we have a real big, maybe a booze and a barbecue up, get a lot of Boro fans along, and look forward to next season. Hopefully, mate, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Most definitely. I look forward to it. I'm sure we'll be talking some point soon about when more drama has occurred, undoubtedly.
I can 100% agree with you, mate. Well, Reece, thanks for joining me today, mate. It's been really good to kind of cover everything and talk about what's happened to our beloved Boro recently. And hopefully, in the next few weeks, when we get a bit more clarity about things, we'll be back with another podcast, mate.
I look forward to joining you and moaning some more.
As we always do, eh? And let's look forward to those amazing weekends next season, eh? They're going to be good.
I look forward to it.
Thanks all listeners for listening to today's podcast. Please tweet us and send in your feedback. We will be back in a few weeks to discuss things looking and shaping for next season for Boro being in the National League. We will be back a lot more now with the podcast. Hopefully, we can start meeting up to the podcast as well and get some guests on to talk about the new season and really, really rally up for next season. So thanks to all the listeners. You have been listening to the Stevenage Football Club podcast.